Hi, Michael and Middleton here. Going to try to get one more chapter in today. If you see me squinting, it's kind of one of those weird hazy days. It's kind of getting my eyes a little bit. But I'm going to try to get one more in of The Great Deep, my allegorical fiction novel. I will let you freeze frame the back to read the description of the book. If this is the first video you're running across, you can zoom in on that on the top here. And follow the link to the Good Books playlist on my YouTube channel to see the previous chapters and the ones after this. And there'll be other information about my books and the ministry that they support 100% in the description as well. So, Chapter 16. For the next couple of weeks, William spent most of his time hanging around the house. He played a lot of pool and finished reading The Beast Within. Wanting something more to read, he searched the bookshelves in the game room, but didn't find much else to his liking. He found himself paging through his grandma's old magazines and watching a lot of television. William's level of boredom grew with the passing days. Other than his egg duties, there just didn't seem to be much to do. He tried to fish the pond again a couple of times, but as the summer days grew hotter, the fishing grew poorer. He thought of visiting the Ankara again, but just wasn't ready. Although he enjoyed the quiet open spaces, William had not yet fully acclimated to living in the country. He found himself missing his old friends terribly. Back in Reno, many of his best friends lived within just a few blocks of him. There was a terrific park just down the street where they would all meet after school and hang out. And on Saturdays, they would organize neighborhood-wide games of kickball. If all else failed, there was an ice cream shop about 10 minutes bike ride away, and they had a couple of pinball games in the back corner. He could always count on running into one or two of his friends there. Now, however, the only other kid his age close enough to visit was Sharon Stewart, and this was simply out of the question. He'd begun to really look forward to Sundays. It was the one day of the week that he got to see other kids. Also, he could usually talk his dad into buying lunch at the Big Boy Drive-In just down the street from the church. Late one evening, just as he was about to drift off to sleep, William heard a strangely familiar scratching sound. He cracked his eyelids and twitched his head to one side, listening to the darkness. For a moment or two, he heard nothing but crickets and coyotes. Just as his eyelids were about to close again, a familiar voice called out from the windowsill. "William," Enid began, "are you awake?" William quickly rolled over and sat up, facing the open window. In the far corner, silhouetted by a nearly full moon, stood Enid. Next to him was a saddled kangaroo rat. For some strange reason, this sight no longer seemed so odd. "Enid," William greeted him. "It's good to see you. What are you up to?" "Good evening, William," Enid replied. "A few of us were out collecting food and thought that I would pay you a visit. I didn't wake you, did I?" "No," William said. "Well, almost, but it's okay. I've been kind of bored lately. How have you been?" Enid tied the kangaroo rat's reins to the shaft of a nail that protruded from the windowsill and jumped down, taking a seat near the foot of the bed. The two of them became fast friends as they talked long into the night. William learned much about the Ankara that night. As he had suspected, Enid shared the fact that English was not their primary language. When William asked how they had learned to speak English, Enid simply replied, "We are a very observant race, young lord. We watch, we listen." He recited a few passages from the great book in his native tongue as William listened in fascination. To William, the Ankara language sounded something like a cross between Greek and Gaelic. It had a very musical quality to it. Enid also shared much of the Ankara history and culture. He told William of the musical instruments they constructed from natural materials and of the games that their children played. and of many wondrous treasures they had discovered in the deep places of the earth that were still unknown to man. He also told William many of the details of their daily lives, such as the food they ate. This consisted mostly of wild grains, fruits, and a few varieties of edible greens like dandelions or lamb's quarters, shepherd's purse. Occasionally, they also constructed traps to catch small fish. And William prodded, glancing towards the open door of his room, that night that you were in the kitchen? Enid seemed to read his thoughts. Yes, William, we do occasionally scavenge through human dwellings for small amounts of supplemental foodstuffs, such as dried beans or rice, or other such useful things as we may find discarded by your kind. Well, Grandma still sets out the mouse traps, William warned. How about I just leave some stuff out for you on my windowsill here from time to time? Enid smiled, thanking William for his kindness. The moon rose high as the hours passed. Finally, William grew too tired to stay awake any longer. As his eyes grew heavy, Enid rose to leave. I should be getting home now, he said, or Lucinda may be disturbed. He climbed up onto the windowsill, untying the kangaroo rat. As he mounted its back, he asked, It is your birthday tomorrow, is it not? Surprised, William asked, How did you know that? We are an observant race, Enid chuckled. We watch, we listen. Well, yes, William replied. I turn 12 tomorrow. Such an occasion is worthy of a gift, Enid declared. He removed the small drawstring pouch that hung from his side and tossed it to William. William thanked Enid, setting the pouch on his nightstand. He then assured him that he would come to visit the village again soon. As Enid bounded from the windowsill and began the journey home, William's head reached hungrily for his pillow. He was soon fast asleep.